Let's talk about mission creep, what it is, how easy it is to fall into, and how to manage it. And there is a sometimes fine line between directly supporting your organization's charitable work and handicapping the retail operation. If you manage thrift stores, especially one inside a larger not-for-profit, you already know there's sometimes tension between fulfilling the charity's mission and operating successful stores. Thrift stores and not-for-profits exist first to generate revenue that funds the charitable mission. Thrift funds the mission. That's the job. The stores are a key financial engine, and frankly, they aren't always treated like it. So let's break that down. I'm Tim, an actual human person. I've spent decades in traditional retail before joining leadership teams at 2 different not-for-profit retail thrift operations. On this channel, I adapt business-focused retail processes and systems to the thrift environment. And if you know anything about me, you know I'm all about the core mission of thrift retail and online sales. Retail is not the cause. It should be funding the cause. Get that balance right, and both thrive. The job of a retail leader in thrift is to advocate for the stores, the customers, and for everything that makes that intersection successful. That's it. That's the lane. Protect it and stray from it at your peril. There are other people in a not-for-profit organization whose job it is to carry out the charitable mission, outreach programs, community services, all the things. That's critically important work. It's the why behind the why, but it's just a different lane. And yes, those lanes do run parallel sometimes, but when the line between supporting the mission and running an accessible retail store breaks down, things get messy. So let me give you a real example of mission creep, and let's see if you agree and maybe what would you have done. If you live in the North, you know kids' coats are always in short supply during winter at thrift stores. Not many get donated, and demand is high both from shoppers and from outside organizations. Schools, churches, direct help organizations all need kids' coats, and for good reasons. So here's the question. Do the few kids' coats that are donated to the store belong on the sales floor, or should they be redirected to another worthy cause providing direct support to family in needs? Sounds simple, right? It's kids. Of course you donate them. I've lived this dilemma. I'm going to push back on that seemingly simple answer. Some families shop thrift stores specifically because they don't want what they see as a handout. They want to do what they can with what they have. That goes to their dignity and self-worth, and their preference matters too. Realistically, shopping thrift has only been mainstream cool for a relatively short time. Thrift stores have been providing that dignity to people with limited resources for over a century, and they should not be abandoned. When we pull in-demand items off the floor to give away, we stop serving them. And here's something that happened to me. A request came from a local influential outside organization for our kids' coats right at the start of the season. And you can probably guess where I would typically stand on these things. But because of the specific circumstances, I knew I wasn't the right person to make that call. So I kicked it up to our CEO. That wasn't passing the buck. That was recognizing where this particular decision actually belongs. My boss had to weigh the needs of our thrift shoppers against an ask from a community partner. Saying yes would mean stripping several stores of their very limited kids' coat stock. So what to do? Now, the right answer depends on your specific situation. And guess what? I'm not going to tell you what he decided, because you may face a similar situation and land somewhere different, and neither answer is necessarily wrong. I will add a caution. From experience, one yes to a special request leads to another, and no gets harder each time. The best situations, and they do absolutely exist, are when supporting the charitable mission strengthens the store. Both sides can and do win, and it is so satisfying when that works. I think the Salvation Army does this well. Now, I'm just an outsider. Their model seems to integrate retail and mission in a way that reinforces both. They do appear to be willing to trade a degree of operational efficiency to make sure people their mission serves have a real place to grow. For them, that's a trade-off worth making, and I would never, ever criticize it. Sometimes a great alignment is right in front of you if you're looking for it. And here's a real-life case from my career that proved it isn't always necessary to sacrifice one side for the other. An organization I was working for had an opportunity to build a program around returning citizens. In case you don't know, those are people who have been incarcerated and were working to re-enter the workforce. The store had jobs, but it wasn't quite that simple. These were people who had done something serious enough to land themselves in jail or prison. And safety had to come first for employees and for our customers. So we set guardrails. Nonviolent offenders only, no drug distribution offenses, no theft. And I was clear that retail staff was not equipped to manage that population as they were readjusting to the outside world. The charitable side found the right people, built accountability frameworks, and brought in specially trained social workers. Now, at the time, government grants were available to support charities running these kinds of programs. And frankly, without that funding, we wouldn't have attempted it. It was really pretty expensive, but those grants made it viable. The first work we landed on centered around books. Donated books had always been a pain point for me. There's real money in them, but scanning every book to find its resale value is labor intensive. The math just doesn't work at scale. And we had truckloads worth of donated books sitting unprocessed, getting musty. The Returning Citizens program changed that equation. They had their own social workers managing day-to-day accountability. The grants paid for their wages while they were in the program. We provided warehouse space, processing systems, technology, and training support. They did the work. Every book got scanned and sorted into one of 4 bins: valuable enough to sell online, good enough to sell in the store, salvage, or pre-ISBN. And ISBN's result? Our charitable side launched a meaningful new program. Retail grew 3 revenue streams simultaneously: online, in-store, and salvage. And they turned bins of musty books into thousands of dollars of sales that went to further support the mission. The participants gained real work experience with real support in place. Once we understood the model, worked out the kinks because not everything worked right the first time, we expanded that to other areas that supported both retail operations and people who needed that kind of hand up. That's the kind of growth, that's the kind of partnership worth building. And eventually, we even hired a couple of program graduates. They became really loyal, really hardworking employees. So programs like that aren't just good for business, they're good for communities. And frankly, the data is compelling. So I'll throw some stats at you. Formerly incarcerated individuals who maintained employment for a full year after release had a recidivism rate at 16% over 3 years, compared to over half for those who did not find stable work. Sometimes widening that lane a bit, letting it overlap, can change lives directly and indirectly. The bottom line still is stay in your lane. Staying in your lane and protecting it isn't cynical. It isn't anti-mission. It's exactly how you protect both. The Returning Citizens program wasn't just a business win. It was proof that staying focused on what the store does best can open doors that benefits everyone, the store, the mission, the community, and the people who need the chance. And frankly, it's a program I was quite proud to help pioneer. Where does your thrift operation fit? Are you focused first on generating money, or are you drifting into programs that pull you away from the real job? I'd genuinely love to hear your experience. Drop it in the comments or send me an email. And if this kind of content resonates with you, please like, subscribe, share. It helps more people find this space and find the conversation. And I post a weekly video about thrift retail and how to make it better. Thanks for watching.